to Bella's channel. This is Bella Boo. It used to be the All About Jelly Bean channel, but now it's the All About Bella channel. Oh, speaking of Jelly Bean, here they are. Say, hi Jelly Bean, hi Bella. These are my babies, or my puppies. They're not puppies. She is 12, 11, 12. I think she's 12 now. Yeah. And he is 7 in human years. I'm talking human years. 12 and 7. Wow. Right? They're huge. I know, you're small dogs. It's okay. They're both Chihuahuas. But today's video is not about them. Today's video is Veda, day number 6. I'm not even going to lie to you right now. While I am filming this, it is August 6th. Which means that I need to film this, edit it, and get it up all in one day. Yay me. I do have a couple of videos already scheduled for later on in the month. So if you see me saying, hi, welcome to Veda day 20, before you see this one, it means that I was on a time crunch and I couldn't finish this one in time. So the only thing that might be wrong with that video is it says, hi, welcome to day 20 of Veda. But it might come out on the 6th. I don't know what's going to happen yet. I am very, very busy. It was the first week of school. And now it's the weekend, but I still have to do lesson plans. I still have to do homework packets. I'm creating data binders for my students, and I'm trying to just be the best, not only person that I can be, but the best, like, most organized teacher in the world, which might not happen, but I'm going to try and be super organized. And then I'm trying I want to make a self-portrait because I had my kids do it, and I made one on the whiteboard, and it was really funny because I'm like, okay, so I drew like my head and kind of where my eyes, nose, and mouth were, and then I'm like, what else do I have? How can I make this look more like me? And so a kid came up and showed me how to draw teeth, and then another kid came up and showed me how to do eyelashes because they told me that I have really big eyelashes and I need to put them on my paper. And then they said that I need to put my eyebrows, and then they told me that, oh, one of my students pointed out my freckles. So I did one on the whiteboard, but I kind of want to be a part of the, you know, community, a part of the classroom, and have my portrait up in the on the bulletin board as well out in the hallway. So that's something else I have to do. But I have like a laundry list of things to get done, along with laundry and dishes and grocery shopping. I have all the things to do this week. One thing that I want to do that's really fun for the weekend is go book shopping, which means that I need to show you all these books I am planning on unhauling. So I've got this big crate. I'm going to kind of try and do this speed round. I think I see that every time I unhaul or like film an unhaul, but I've already wasted a bunch of your time. Cheers to Veda day 6, hopefully. So, we'll start with the ones that don't have a milk crate, so that I can try and find a milk crate. So these first 3 books are by an author that I've read 3 books from, 4 books, I think 3 or 4. 3 books, and I've hated them all. Typically my favorite rating for her is DNF, which is did not finish. I did not like them enough to finish them. So let's talk about the one in the stack that was on my TBR this month, and surprise, I did not finish it. Not a Happy Family by Sherry Lapina. This follows this wealthy family. The mom and the dad are murdered, and the three siblings are, one of them murdered their parents for the inheritance, and it's your job to find out who it was. I hated the characters so much in this book, and like, yeah, I get that thrillers, sometimes you don't have likable characters, and that's okay for me sometimes, but there's not one redeemable quality about any of them. And the three of them, I can't even remember their names, but they act all the same. And I get it, they're brother and sister and everything like that. So, you know, you might be kind of like your family in a lot of ways. I mean, I know that I have some qualities of both of my brothers and both of my parents, but it was like they were carbon copies of one another. I couldn't tell them apart. And they were just mean and unlikable, and I didn't really even care that the parents died. So I'm unhauling it. And since I've never liked any of her books, I'm also going to get rid of The End of Her and Someone We Know. I was going to do a whole Sherry Lapina reading vlog, but I cannot get through Not a Happy Family. So I'm not going to force myself to read those. Miss Molly is Too Jolly. I actually got this from my classroom, but it's written in and stuff, so I'm going to try and sell it back to the store that sold it to me. Then there's The Damage by Caitlin Ware. This one was also on my TBR, and I did read it. News is that I did not like it. The thing is that it follows from too many differing perspectives that I just wanted the story, and I wasn't getting the story because I was getting Tony's version of the story, Nick's version of the story, and the detective's version of the story. And I don't like detective novels anyway, so I really hated the detective's perspective. The only perspective in here that I liked was Nick, and Nick was the victim of a sexual assault, and Tony is his brother who was out for revenge. But it wasn't even really about the revenge, it was just about the trauma that Nick went through, and like, that's fine. I like those kind of books typically, but there was just something about the writing of this one, the differing perspectives, and it just didn't quite work for me as much. The Last Mrs. Parrish, honestly, I only bought this because I fell into the hype. I don't think I'm interested. She Loves You, She Loves You Not by Julianne Peters. I got this because I really like By the Time You Read This, I'll Be Dead by Julianne Peters. And I absolutely love that book. This one just seems like a YA contemporary, more fluffy than By the Time You Read This, I'll Be Dead. And I'm just not here for the young adult anymore. It doesn't appeal to me. And for that reason, I'm also going to get rid of Mayhem by Estelle Lore. Plus, I bought this for a video that, honestly, I'm never going to do. And then, Because You Love to Hate Me, Amari. Edited by Amari. These are short stories of villains. And I just don't think that I'm into short stories. I still have a couple on my TBR, but more than likely, I'm probably going to unhaul them sometime soon, too. Neighborhood Girls by Jessie Ann Foley, another young adult. Here I Go Again by Jen Lancaster. I don't remember anything about this book. The Rattled Bones by S.M. Parker. Okay, fine. I need your help right now. The Rattled Bones by S.M. Parker and We Are the Ants by Sean David Hutchinson. I fell into the hype of both of these. They're both young adult. We Are the Ants is sci-fi. The Rattled Bones is kind of a dark, eerie fantasy mystery, or mystery paranormal. I think it's paranormal. Those buzzwords do not appeal to me. But there's something about both of these books that sound pretty good. So maybe you should tell me in the comments below if I should save either of these. But then again, I'm going to the store today to get rid of them. So, like, oh. Okay, so I'm going to save these ones right now. I'm going to do something that I normally don't do. I'm going to save these right now. Let me know in the comments below if I should read either of these or both of these. And then next time I do an unhaul, if you haven't saved these, then I'm going to unhaul these ones as well. Fast. Dating Without Novocaine by Lisa Ketch. Some kind of romance. I don't remember why I didn't want that one. Most of these are going to be young adult, so I'm just going to like power through them because I just don't read young adult. And if I do, I'm very picky about what I do read. So The Truth and Lies of Ella Black by Emily Farr. This sounds really good. It sounds like a hard-hitting contemporary that I would love. But I've read so many hard-hitting contemporaries with this story that I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna give it to someone who is going to appreciate it more than I will. House of Ivy and Sorrow by Natalie Whipple, young adult fantasy. The Waking Forest by Alyssa West, young adult fantasy. My Eyes Are Up Here by Laura Zimmerman, young adult contemporary. The Feminist Agenda of Jamina Kincaid by Kate Hatmer, young adult contemporary. These kind of look like they have similar covers, which is kind of cool. But I think that might have been why I bought one of them. Then there's It's All Your Fault by Paul Rudnick, another young adult contemporary. The Universe is Expanding and So Am I by Caroline Mackler. I actually really want to read this one, but I don't have the first in the series and I'm not committed enough to hold on to this until I get the first in the series. Again, it's a young adult contemporary. As You Wish by Chelsea Sidoti, young adult contemporary. Do you see a theme here? The Leaving by Tara Alderbrondo. This is a young adult thriller in which 6 kindergartners go missing. 10 years later, 5 of them come back, and they all have some kind of amnesia. I've read it, but I didn't love it. Then there's the Captain Underpants Extra Crunchy Book of Fun. I got this for my students, but it's written in, and I'm gonna give it back to the store that I bought it from. A Sucky Love Story by Brittany Louise Taylor. So my new rule, well, semi-new, I don't know, it's been a few months since I made this rule, so you might not even remember, but a few months ago I made this rule that if I have a book on my TBR for my TBR game and I don't read it in that month, I can roll it over. But if I roll it over into the next month and I still don't read it, then I don't want to read it enough, so it's gonna be unhauled. And that is what happened with that one. I read part of it, but it was like, it didn't hold my attention. Layover by Amy Andelson and Emily Meyer. This was romance. I thought that it was Layover by David Bell, which is a thriller that I've had my eye on. This is not the same book. Then there's DC Trip by Sarah Balacasa. I thought this would be funny because it's about a teacher and I'm a teacher, but it's like this I just don't feel like I'm gonna like it. So there's A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray. Honestly, this is historical fiction, which is not my jam anyway. It's young adult, and it has deckled edges. I think the most important part of that is that it has deckled edges. Absolutely hate deckled edges. Will not read a book with deckled edges. I know, that sounds weird. Then Pretend She's Here by Luann Rice, young adult. The classic, I'm not a huge classics reader. I feel like there might be more classics in here, but the one that I see right now is Oliver Twist by Charles Dickens. I'm just not gonna keep pretending that I love classics, because I don't. There are very few classics that I even like. Then there's Murder, Magic, and What We Wore by Kelly Jones. This is a historical fiction. One More Lie by Amy Lloyd. I listened to this one on audio. I'm not finished with it. I'm not enjoying it, so I'm gonna get rid of it before I finish it. Then there's The Insomniacs by Marty Weisenberg. This is a young adult thriller. The Golden Couple by Gear Hendricks and Sarah Pekkanen. I have read this. This is not my favorite by them. I think I've only really loved 2 of their thrillers. So I really loved The Wife Between Us, which was their first book, and then Anonymous Girl, which was their second one. This one wasn't terrible. I think I gave it 3 or 3.5 stars. But it follows like this wealthy family, or these wealthy characters. So you follow a therapist who is trying to help these famous, or these wealthy characters, and just generally speaking, I don't like the way that wealthy characters are written, because they're so unlikable, and sometimes it's okay to have unlikable characters, but it was fun, and I did enjoy it the first time I read it, but I'm never gonna reread it, and I'm not gonna just like hold on to it on my shelves because it's pretty and because I did enjoy it the first time I read it, if I'm never gonna reread it. And it's like, I like some of the twists and turns in here, I'm not even gonna lie, but I'm never gonna reread it, so someone else can enjoy it too. There's The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I fell into the hype on this one. I tried to read it, didn't like it, so nope. Beautiful by Amy Reed. I read a different book by Amy Reed and I really, really enjoyed it. So I halfway want to keep this, but it's like a young adult, hard-hitting contemporary about this girl that gets bullied, and then I think she moves away and goes to a new school, and she basically reinvents herself. It does sound good, but it's no, I think someone else will enjoy it more than I will. There's The Art of Breaking Things by Laura Simpson. That is a young adult contemporary. The Mall by Megan McCrafty. This is a young adult coming of age novel that takes place in a mall in the 80s. 90s? I don't know. I bought it in the 90s. I bought it for the nostalgia because I'm a 90s baby. Not really a baby anymore. I'm a 90s kid. 90s. I was born in the 90s. And this takes place in the 90s. And that sounds really fun to kind of rejoice about the 90s. I think I just talked myself into keeping this one. Some of you are going to be very mad at me, and I'm sorry, but I read the Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. No. I think I'm giving up on Grady Hendrix, so I've read everything by this author, except for his new stuff, his newest book. But I've read everything, and the only thing I've liked is My Best Friend's Exorcism. That was twisted and dark and really fun. but all the rest of his books are not for me. Then there's The Wedding Date Disaster by Avery Flynn. I had fun with this one. I liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars. But if I'm gonna reread a romance, it's gonna be The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, or even Well Met by Jen DeLuca, or Betrayed by who's that author? Emily Henry. Yeah. So I won't reread this one, but I do think it's really cute, and if you haven't read it, you should. Tarts by Lauren Dane. I'm just not into smutty books. Oh, okay, and then by the time you read this, I'll Be Dead by Julianne Peters. Like I said, I absolutely love this book. 5 out of 5 stars. However, I'm never going to reread it, and I've held on to it for a very long time because it has such a special place in my heart, and I absolutely adore this book. So it's not like I'm getting rid of it because I didn't like it. I love this book so much. But I think it will help someone else who is younger than me, maybe going through similar things that happen in this. If you pick this up on my recommendation, because I do highly recommend it, make sure that you know there are trigger warnings for sexual assault, bullying, and suicide, to just name a few. This is a very hard book to read because it's a young adult novel about some of the worst things in life and how a young adult has to, how they choose to live through it, or how they choose to end it. It's very, very hard to read, but I highly recommend it. Then there's Good Me, Bad Me by Ali Lear. It's just a thriller that has been on my shelf for a long time. I don't know if I'm ever going to get to it. I have already read All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. I have read a lot of Megan Miranda, and all of them are very, like, I have fun when I read them type of books, and I really do enjoy them at the time, but usually they're like 3 or 4 stars, which is nothing wrong with that. But they're not anything, it's nothing that I would ever reread. So I think if I read more Megan Miranda books, I'm going to start getting them from the library, because what I tend to do is I buy it, I read it, and then I unhaul it. So there's something about her writing that is just like, I recommend this book, and I recommend Megan Miranda, but it's not something that's like life-changing or earth-shattering or anything like that. They're just kind of forgettable mysteries, but I have fun in the moment when I read them. Sorry. Okay. Then I've read These Witches Don't Burn by Isabel Sterling. Absolutely love this book. I do. It's a young adult fantasy novel about witches. It reminds me a lot of The Ravens by Cass Morgan and Daniel Page, which I will not shut up about, which is one of my favorite books. Just like the young adult version of that, because that's like new adult version. The Ravens is new adult. These Witches Don't Burn is young adult. Absolutely love it. So this is Witches, LGBT, really great friend group. I like this a lot. I'm not going to continue with the series, and I just don't see myself rereading it, because I think it's like the young adult version of The Ravens, but if I'm going to reread one of them, it's going to be The Ravens every single time. So for me, it was like kind of too similar, but I still had fun with it. Then there's The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. Originally, I gave this 5 stars, but then I had a talk with Amy from A Star Reads, and she kind of pointed out some things. And then I went back and reread this book. And, like, it's good. But again, I don't think if I'm going to reread a romance, I don't think the first one I'm going to go for is The Worst Best Man. Out of the Fire by Andrea Contos. This is a really good young adult thriller. I just won't reread it. Heroine by Mindy McGinnis. This is a good young adult, hard-hitting contemporary about this girl that is addicted to heroin. And it was really good for me to see from the perspective of an addict. It's something that I really want to learn more about still. But I think this would help someone else more than it would help me. I do recommend it though. Bad by Chloe Esposito. This is a thriller. Then there's Into Every Generation, A Slayer is Born, How Buffy Staked Our Hearts by Evan Ross Katz. I was sent this from the publisher, so thank you. But at the time, I was like, ooh, I might read it. I love Buffy, okay? So please don't get, like, upset about this or anything. Actually, I don't really care. I love Buffy, but, she's so 90s, and I'm just, you know, Buffy was one of my favorites when I was younger. Not so much anymore, you know? Like, we grew apart. And there's Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. This was a survival story of these pageant contestants whose plane crashes on this island, and all the characters seem the same, and it was just too pageant-y for me as a survival story. I wanted them to, like, pick up their survival instincts, and it's not what it was. Then there's Blacklands by Belinda Bear. I don't know what it's about. Got it because it was on clearance. Need to stop doing that. Then there's Far From You by Tess Sharp. This one kind of reminds me of Heroine by Mindy McGinnis, which we already talked about, but this one is the better version. I would read this one over that one, but they're both amazing books, and I highly recommend both of them. I just think that I've gone to the point where I no longer need it, and I think it would help someone else more than it would help me. But you follow a heroin addict who, named Sophie, who is going through some grief and guilt over something, over her best friend's death, and you learn if it was really her fault or not. But it was really interesting to read, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's very heartbreaking, very emotional, so if you're not in the right state of mind, don't read it right away, but I highly, highly recommend it. So those are all the books I'm getting rid of. Should we count them? I mean, I'm a little scared, but 48 books that we are getting rid of today. So we are unhauling 48 books, and I still have all those books, and I'm probably gonna buy more today or tomorrow if Hubby Man will go to the bookstore with me. Anyways, this is Bella. I'm Alita. These are all my books, and these are my books for now, but they will be unhauled. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Right, Bella, say, thanks for hanging out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so that you don't miss a single video in August as part of VEDA. I will hopefully see you guys tomorrow. Bye.